Hi there, boys and girls. We're getting closer to the end of our story here. You can see there's just a few pages left, so we'll be a couple more weeks on this. But today we picking up on the idea of how far we've come. Maybe you've been on a journey. You might have gone to a campground, maybe on vacation, and you got everything packed up and you were in the car and riding, and you just wondered, when are we going to get there? And sometimes we ask that old question, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And we just aren't quite there. And we may have traveled for quite a while to get that far. And we forget how far we've come. We just wish that we would be where we wanted to go. Well, that's kind of in our story today. Can you remember some of the things that the boy has been through with his friends? The mole, the fox, and the horse? Well, most recently they were in a storm. And the horse reminded them that when that storm comes, just got to keep going. Just got to keep going. And of course, there was some fun times when the mole and the boy got to ride on the back of the horse when he flew. That only happened on that one occasion because other animals got jealous of him, he said, and he didn't want them to be jealous. But that was an exciting, fun thing. And then they were walking along the lake and jumped, and the boy fell off, and the horse helped to get him back onto the dry land. And you remember the mole fell off too. And who helped the mole? The fox. The fox came along and helped the mole. And of course, we can think of the time when the fox was caught in that trap, and the mole helped him out. And he drew the Valentine in the snow. It reminded me of a game I played when I was a kid called Fox and Geese, which we played in the snow. Created a kind of a maze that we could run through. Yeah, they've been through a lot of things in their experiences. And that's the question that came up today as we're picking up our story. Remember, they'd just been through the storm, and here's the boy and the mole. They're laying on the back of the horse, tired out, probably a little bit scared or relieved that the scare has gone away now. And they're just kind of laying there, and of course the fox, he's down on the ground because he can't get up on the back except if the horse lays down. And they look out, and my goodness, that's a big world out there. And they're looking at, and they seem so small. Even the horse, doesn't he seem small compared to that big picture? Yeah, sometimes we can feel very, very small. There's a big word that we sometimes use called insignificant. We feel unimportant sometimes in that world. And the boy says, we have such a long way to go. He's looking out there and he's saying, my goodness, we got a long ways to go. But the horse says, yes, but look how far we have come. Yeah. Sometimes we forget how many things that we've been through and not by ourselves. Sometimes we have to go through some things by ourselves, and that can be scary. But most times we have a friend or a family member that help us to go through it. My one granddaughter had a rough time at school this week, and she was upset. She's only I think 5 or 6. I can't remember how old she is, but she had a rough time at school, and it was very upsetting for her to do that. But you know, when she got home and she was still upset, Mom and Dad were there to kind of help. So sometimes we go through some things that aren't much fun, and it's nice to have a friend there. And that's what that horse was reminding him. Look how far we've come. We've been together, and that's an important thing, is to have someone to be together with, especially when we're facing a big, big challenge. Now, we're ready for this page. Look at all the printing on that page. I'm going to have to read that to you. But it's a statement that the mole makes, and he says, sometimes I want to say, I love you all. That's what the mole said. But I find it difficult. That doesn't seem like it ought to be difficult to say to somebody that you love them. But sometimes it is difficult to say that. And then the boy said to him, "Do you?" Now, that question could be asked, do you want to say that you love us all, or do you find it difficult? Or maybe it's both. Maybe he really wants to just tell everybody else, the horse, the fox, the boy, you are all so special, but he kind of feels awkward saying it. We could feel awkward saying some nice things to people. Yeah, so the boy asked, "Do you?" And I'm not sure just what he was meaning by that, whether he's asking him, do you really want to say it, or do you find it difficult? But the mole said, yes, I do. So, let me change my glasses here, boys and girls, so I can see this better. Yes, so I say something like, I'm glad you're all here. He finds it difficult to say it. And maybe the boy was saying, do you find it difficult? And the mole said, yes, I find it difficult. So I say something different. Like, I'm glad we're all here. Now that's not the same as saying that, but it is a positive thing. And it is a thing that helps us to belong to others. I'm glad you're all here. May seem kind of awkward to say I love you, but you can say that, I'm glad you're here. And you might say that to your parents. You might feel a little awkward saying, I love you to your parents. I hope you don't, but you might. But you could say, Mom and Dad, I'm so glad you're here. That makes me feel safe. And that's an important statement to make. I'm glad we're all here. Okay, said the boy. I'm glad we're all here, said the mole. Now this time he just said it. He didn't say, I'd like to say it, but he said it. I'm glad we're all here. Because the boy said, okay, you go ahead and say it. And then the boy responded by saying, we are so glad you are here too. Isn't that neat? That's when we feel very, very accepted. When we can say, you know, I'm glad that you're here. And the people that we say it to say, I'm glad that you're here. We might be glad that other people are there, but we might say, I don't think they have other friends that I like more than me. You ever felt that way? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I was glad that they were my friend, but I kind of thought they had other friends they'd rather be with. And it was a neat surprise to find out that I was their special friend too. Not that I was better than the others, but that I was their special friend. And I can think back when I was your age, when I went to stay at a friend's house. Now, he had a lot of friends. He was very popular. But he had invited me to come and stay at his house. Now, I was a little scared staying overnight at a strange house. But it was neat. And I still remember, we're talking probably 65 years ago. Wouldn't be quite 70 because I'm 76. I was older than 6 when it happened. We were in grade school still. But he invited me. I felt special. He didn't tell me he loved me. I guess guys don't always tell that to each other. But he sure made me feel like he was glad I was there. And I was glad to have him as a friend. So sometimes we can say something like, I'm glad we're here. Mean it, and it tells somebody they're special. They're special. Well, that's an important thing on that page, and you can see them all together. Oh, what's in that picture there? Is that a piece of cake? You know what's going to happen with cake. On this next page, doesn't talk about the cake, but we saw the picture there, didn't we? Yeah. This next page says this. What's your best discovery? Asked the mole. And here's the boy thinking very, very good that I'm enough as I am. Do you remember Mr. Rogers used to say on his program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, I like you just the way you are. Now that doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you never do anything wrong. It just means that he knows about us, both the good and the bad, and he likes us. He cares about us. He's glad we're here. Well, that's what the boy discovered. That you don't have to be special. Just be glad that we're here. That I'm enough as I am. And you are. You're enough. Now, you're still growing. That's important. You're still growing. You're still learning. You still make mistakes. And you can still say, I'm sorry. That's an important thing to say when we've been wrong or when we've hurt somebody. And that doesn't get easier as time goes by. It gets hard to say I'm sorry as time goes by. And to mean it. And to mean it. Yeah, that's very important. So we've come a long ways. We've been through some scary times. We've been through some fun times. That cake is going to show up next week. You just watch and see. Okay? Let's sing our song. Have spaghetti, meatballs, and cheese. Right? You must have spaghetti, meatball, and cheese. Is that what it? No, that's not it. Have faith, hope, and charity. Have faith, hope, and charity. Oh, that's the way to live successfully. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. Oh, do good to your enemies, and the blessed Lord you'll surely please. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. Now don't worry about tomorrow, just be real good today. The Lord is right beside you and He'll guide you all the way. You must have faith, hope, and charity, 'cause that's the way to live successfully. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. Right, and it does. It tells us how to live successfully. All right, let's have a prayer, and then I'll be back next week. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for how far we've come. Sometimes it's been through some difficult times. Sometimes it's been through fun. But you've promised that you will be with us, and you've given us friends and family, and they're important to us. So we can be glad we're here. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Bye-bye. See you next week.